it's Richie here with Static Fighting Football. This is your 3:30 games for Week 7 of college football. Let's just get started. There's a whole, possibly good, really awesome games, at least on paper, and possibly a good chunk of upsets this weekend. So we'll jump into it. Alabama, Texas A&M, not an upset. Alabama, both teams off a bye. Alabama beat Ole Miss 59-31, Tua 418, 6 touchdown passes and 1 running. Devontae Smith, wide receiver, 11 catches, 274, 5 touchdowns, 573 yards. Their defense did give up 476 yards, but A&M kind of sucks. A&M barely beat Arkansas 31-27. Kellen Mond 251, 3 touchdowns. They only ran for 89 yards. They were actually outgained by Arkansas in the game by 55 yards. I got Alabama big. Next game, FSU Clemson, both coming up by. FSU's last game was 31-13 win over NC State. Vanderbilt 316, 3 touchdowns. They only ran for 53 yards, so they got to get that going. Clemson, though, I called the upset. I said North Carolina is going to beat Clemson. I was a point short. Clemson beat North Carolina 21-20. They really didn't do a whole lot offensively. T. Higgins, 6 catches, 129 and a touchdown. That was it. Their defense had 3 sacks. This is the first upset I'm going to call. I'm calling Florida State. I wouldn't be surprised if they blow Clemson out. Clemson kind of sucks. Just saying. Next game, Michigan State and Wisconsin. Michigan State's coming off a loss to Ohio State 34-10. Brian Lewerke passed for 218 and touchdown pick. They only ran for 67 yards. They turned it over 3 times. Their defense did have 3 sacks and forced 2 turnovers. Wisconsin coming off a 48-0 rout of Kent State. It's Wisconsin's 3rd shutout this year. They haven't done that since 1937, I think. Jonathan Taylor, great Heisman game again. 186 rushing, 4 touchdowns, and a touchdown reception. 520 yards. Their defense had 9 sacks in the game. Linebacker Zach Bond had 3 of them. They only allowed 124 total yards. This is another upset. I'm going to call Michigan State here. Washington State and Arizona State. This will be a good one. Arizona State just got ranked. Both teams are coming up a bye. With Washington State lost 38-13 to Utah. Anthony Gordon 252, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. They were demolished. They gave up 526 yards. 26 yards. Arizona State beat a then ranked Cal team 24-17. Jaden Daniels is fine, but Benjamin was kind of a defensive game as the score suggests. Benjamin ran for 100 yards and 3 touchdowns, and that was it. Their defense had 3 sacks, allowed 245. Quarterback Chase Garbers for Cal was hurt in that game, and he was playing pretty decently. But Arizona State went off with that upset here. Washington State wins. Cincinnati just got ranked. They're playing Houston. Cincinnati, unfortunately, they beat UCF. Or fortunately, if you're a Cincinnati fan, Cincinnati just got ranked. Not only did they beat UCF 27-24, they stopped UCF's 30-game streak of scoring at least 30 points. Desmond Ridder, 149, 2 touchdowns, a pick. Michael Warren, 133. Their offense did fine, but it's their defense. Their defense had 3 sacks, 4 turnovers, and a pick 6. And the 4 turnovers were freaking key. Obviously, the pick 6, straight touchdowns. But multiple times, UCF got inside the red zone. They got to the 8-yard line. He throws an interception. Then early in the 4th quarter, when UCF's trying to come back, they get inside the 15, throws an interception. Cincinnati earned that one. Houston's coming off a bye. Their last game was a 46-25 win against North Texas. Derek King is redshirting, so Clayton Tune came in. He was efficient passing, 16-20, 124, 1 touchdown, but ran for 100 yards. Patrick Carr motored for 139 yards and 3 touchdowns. They ran for 235 as a team. Their special teams had a kick return and punt return for a touchdown. I'm calling another upset. Houston over Cincinnati. BYU and USF. Both teams are 2-3 actually. BYU's played a bunch of good teams and beat some decent teams. USF has gotten killed by one good team, lost to one bad team, and actually killed by 2 good teams. So anyway, BYU's coming off a bye. They lost to a good Toledo team, 28-21. Zach Wilson was 315, 2 touchdowns a pick. Aliva Hifo, 5 catches, 111, 2 touchdowns. Their defense, though, did force 3 turnovers. But they lost that one. Whereas USF, actually, Jordan McLeod looked good. They played UConn and beat him 48-22. McLeod, 157 passing, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. So we've got to cut that out. But he added 62 rushing yards and a touchdown. Jordan Cronkrite ran for 148. They had 313 rushing yards, 503 total yards. Their defense had 5 sacks. I'm going to say it's it in USF. BYU's got to travel. I'm going to say maybe it's the turning point. McLeod. I'm going to go USF with the win here. But that should be a pretty close game, I think. Kent State and Akron, pillow fight here. Kent State got killed 48-0 by Wisconsin. I didn't write much down. They had 124 total yards. Akron, coming off a bye, their last game was a 37-29 in UMass. Akron has the longest losing streak in the nation. Although 3 quarterbacks played, they played pretty well. Combined 28-42, 335 passing, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Jeremiah Knight, 5 catches, 100 yards. They did turn over 3 times. That being said, this is a rivalry. Akron and Kent State, they're like 10 miles apart, I think. I'm going to say Akron gets off the schneid here, ends their losing streak, and beats Kent State. Northern Illinois and Ohio, this is an interesting MAC game, kind of. Both teams are normally powerhouses, at least the past few years they have been in the MAC, but they're not faring well. Northern Illinois is 1-4, Ohio is 2-3. Northern Illinois lost to Ball State 27-20, even after they had a 17-3 lead. Bowers was 21-43, which is not good. 241, 1 pick. Trey Harbison had a good game, 146 yards, rushing 2 touchdowns, but they turned it over 3 times, which allowed Ball State to get back into that game. Ohio beat Buffalo in overtime 21-20 because Buffalo scored that touchdown to go up 20-14, and their kicker missed the extra point. Ohio got a touchdown and made the extra point to win 21-20. Rourke, 155 passing, but threw an interception and ran for 63 and a touchdown. I expect this to be close, but I'll give Ohio the edge here. All right, UConn and Tulane. UConn got killed by USF. Mike Beaudry, 2-9, a touchdown. Defense had 4 sacks, 2 turnovers, but a lot of that was like way late after they were already down by a shit ton. Tulane actually beat a really good Army team at Army. Army had a 15-game home winning streak, and Tulane snapped it. Tulane won 42-33. They ran for 324 yards. Amari Jones had 6 catches for 104 yards and a touchdown. They had 525 total yards. I think Tulane should blow out UConn here. All right, a really good possible another upset. I don't know if I'm ready to call this one. Texas Tech and Baylor. Baylor just got ranked. They're undefeated. Texas Tech did upset Oklahoma State a week ago, and this should be a shootout. Texas Tech, they beat Oklahoma State 45-35. Jet Duffy, 424 passing, 4 touchdowns, and 1 rushing. TJ Vasher, 5 catches, 110, 1 touchdown. Their defense had 7 sacks in the game. Linebacker Jordan Brooks had 3 of them, and they caused 5 turnovers. Baylor, though, beat Kansas State 31-12. Charlie Brewer, 231 touchdown. Their defense had 6 sacks and forced 2 turnovers. So really, it seems about who's going to get to the quarterback more. I mean, that's usually the case, but these are Jet Duffy should be playing again for Texas Tech. Baylor plays pretty decent defense, though. They can get a running game going. They didn't have a whole lot, but against Kansas State, but they can. Oh man, I'll pull the trigger. Texas Tech upset. San Jose State, Nevada. Surprisingly, San Jose State is 3-2. Nevada's 3-2 as well, so this is a decent game in the Mountain West. San Jose State beat New Mexico 32-21. However, they were up 26-7 at halftime. Josh Love passed for 405 and 2 touchdowns. Trey Walker had 7 catches for 130. They only ran for 52 yards, so they want to get that going. I shouted out their kicker, Matt Mercurio, 4 or 5 on field goals. Defense forced 6 turnovers. They're going to need to do that. I don't know if they can do that again against Nevada. Nevada, though, coming off a bye that got killed by Hawaii 54-3. There's not much to say about that. However, I do think San Jose State is actually better this year than I thought they would be. Much better than they were last year. Already halfway to a bowl game. And this might go huge towards bowl eligibility for both teams to get to 6-6. That being said, I'll give that edge to Nevada here, but this should be a pretty close, maybe possibly high scoring, maybe in the 30s kind of game. All right, UNLV against Vanderbilt. UNLV got blown up by Boise State 38-13. Kenyon Oblad was fine, 262 passing, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Vanderbilt got killed 31-6 to Ole Miss. Their defense had 3 sacks and that was about it. Vanderbilt, I'll say Vanderbilt wins, but this will be close because they both suck. Iowa State, West Virginia should be a shootout here. Iowa State killed TCU 49-24. Brock Purdy 247 passing, 2 touchdowns, and 102 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. Deshaunte Jones 10 catches, 110. Defense forced 2 turnovers, had a fumble return for a touchdown. Whereas West Virginia, they lost 42-31 against Texas. But Austin Kendall had a really good game, 367 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he threw 4 interceptions. They should have been blown out by more. If he doesn't throw 4 picks, maybe they blow out Texas. I don't know here. TJ Simmons, 7 catches, 135 and a touchdown. They put up 463 yards. Their defense, and they outgained Texas even. Their defense had 3 sacks. It was just those 4 turnovers. I think this should be a shootout kind of game. I'll go West Virginia here. Virginia Tech against 1AA Rhode Island. Virginia Tech, they beat Miami last week 42-35. They're up 28-7 at halftime and let Miami come all the way back to tie it at 35. Then Virginia Tech got another touchdown. Hendon Hooker had his first start, passed for 184, 3 touchdowns, added 76 and a touchdown. They were actually outgained by over 200 yards against Miami. Miami outgained them 563-337. However, Virginia Tech had 7 sacks and forced 5 turnovers in the game, and that was the difference. Virginia Tech, not great this year, but they should beat Rhode Island. All right, interesting CUSA game here. Middle Tennessee State and Florida Atlantic. Middle Tennessee State beat a really good Marshall team, 24-13. Asher O'Hara passed for 261 and a touchdown, added 76 yards and a touchdown. Their defense forced 4 turnovers, and that was the difference in the game. Whereas FAU, coming off a bye, their last game was a nice 45-27 win over Charlotte. Chris Robinson, 312 passing, 2 touchdowns a pick. They ran for 236 as a team. They had 557 total yards. Their defense had 3 sacks, 3 turnovers. I'm going to go FAU here. Middle Tennessee can put up some points, so it could be kind of a shootout. But I expect maybe kind of the similar to the last game where FAU put up 45 but still gave up 27. I can see that kind of happening here. All right, kind of surprise here. Georgia State and Coastal Carolina. Georgia State had that big win against Tennessee earlier in the year. And now they had a huge win against Arkansas State. Arkansas State's normally one of the best teams in the Sun Belt. Georgia State took it to them, 52-38. Dan Ellington passed for 382 and a touchdown. Also added 69 rushing yards and a touchdown. Trey Barnett ran for 139 and a touchdown. They ran for 340 yards rushing and had 200-yard receivers. Sam Pinckney, 9 catches, 120, touchdown. Cornelius McCoy, 8 catches, 107. They put up 722 yards of offense. Here, their defense had 3 sacks, forced 2 turnovers. Coastal Carolinas, they're 3-2. They're coming off a bye. They lost to App State 56-37. They were actually able to keep it pretty close. App kind of scored late to pull away. Fred Payton, 240 passing, 2 touchdowns and a pick, added 37 rush yards and 2 touchdowns. I expect another shootout here. It's on that teal field in Coastal Carolina, but man, Georgia State's kind of impressing me. So I might go Georgia State here. But that one, I mean, that might be first to 55 wins that game. All right, UAB, UTSA. UAB had a kind of what I figured, a rough game, a tough game against Rice. They were only up 21-20 halftime. The game was delayed for 2.5 total hours, 2 different times for Lightning. UAB beat Rice 35-20. And they ended up beating him for the 35-20. Tyler Johnson passed for 282, 3 touchdowns, but did throw 2 interceptions. Kendall Parham, 3 catches, 109, 2 touchdowns. The defense had 4 sacks and 4 turnovers, which helped make the difference in a relatively close game, or what was a close game. Whereas UTSA, they actually had a nice win against UTEP. I went back and forth on that. I think I went with UTEP last week, but UTSA got the win, 26-16. Lil Narcissa, he's their quarterback. He didn't pass for a whole lot. He was like 6 of 14, 40 yards and a touchdown, but he ran for 115 and a touchdown. And Sincere McCormick, great name, ran for 189 and a touchdown. They ran for 320 as a team. Their defense had 4 sacks. This actually could be kind of close. UTSA can run it a little bit, it seems like. But I'll go with UAB here if they can not turn it over. All right, Army against Western Kentucky. Almost done here. Army, They lost at home to Tulane 42-33. Kelvin Hopkins passed for 170, a touchdown and pick, and ran for 132 and 2 touchdowns. Camden Harrison, I'm just going to shout it out. He had 5 catches, 103 and a touchdown. You rarely have a 100-yard receiver in a triple option offense. The defense forced 2 turnovers and had a crucial fumble return touchdown late in the game that kept it close, but they ended up losing. Western Kentucky's having a nice surprise, decent year, 3-2. They were bad last year. They beat Old Dominion 20-3. Ty Story 193, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Gage Walker 114 rushing and a touchdown. Their defense only allowed 163 yards and they had 3 sacks. However, they did turn over twice. I think Army should bounce back here and get the win. But Western Kentucky is shown to be kind of a bit of a thorn. But I got Army here. All right, UMass and Louisiana Tech. UMass got killed by Florida International 44-0. They had 115 total yards, 3 turnovers. Louisiana Tech's coming off a bye. They beat Rice. Again, Rice, close game. They beat Rice in overtime 23-20. Jamar Smith passed for 210 and a touchdown and had the winning touchdown run in overtime. They were actually outgained by Rice, 338-294. Whatever, I think Louisiana Tech wins this by a lot. UMass is terrible. Alright, should be an awesome shootout in this next game. North Texas and Southern Miss, 2 of the best quarterbacks in the country, 2 of the best passing offenses in the country, both coming off byes. North Texas did lose to Houston 46-25, but Mason Fine passed for 353 and 2 touchdowns. Michael Lawrence had 9 catches, 120. They put up 456 total yards and actually outgained Houston. Southern Miss, their last game was a win against UTEP, 31-13. Jack Abraham, 351, 3 touchdowns, 519 total yards. Defense had 4 sacks. It's at Southern Miss. This really could go back and forth. Another game that could get to high 40s and the 50s. I'll go North Texas here. All right, Fresno State and Air Force, a really good Mountain West game here. Fresno's coming off a bye. They had a 30-17 win over New Mexico State. Jalen Cropper ran for 118 and a touchdown on only like 5 carries or something. They ran for 239 as a team. Their defense had 3 turnovers and a pick 6. Whereas Air Force lost 34-25 to Navy in a very back and forth game. It was a lot closer than that final score. Donald Hammond passed for 205, but threw an interception and ran for 77 and a touchdown. Benjamin Waters had 4 catches for 128. They turned over 3 times, which hurt them in the end. Their defense did force 3 turnovers. This will be a really close game. Fresno's good, but Air Force is a lot better this year. I'm kind of leaning Air Force. You know what? Screw it. Air Force. All right, Ole Miss and Missouri. This could be a high-scoring game. Kelly Bryant was hurt, but the quarterback from Missouri, but he should be playing this week. They beat Troy 42-10 in the game before he got hurt. Kelly Bryant 221 passing, 3 touchdowns, added another rushing touchdown. Their defense had 3 turnovers, a pick 6, only allowed 211 yards. Where Ole Miss killed Vanderbilt 31-6. John Rice Plumlee, he didn't have a whole lot passing, but he ran for 165 yards and a touchdown. They ran for 413 yards in the game. Defense had 3 sacks. I expect this to be a bit of a shootout, but I'm going to go Missouri here. In the final game of these 3:30 games, Charlotte and Florida International should be a close to USA game. Charlotte's coming off a bye. They lost 45-27 to FAU, where Chris Reynolds passed for 208, 3 touchdowns, but he did throw 2 picks. Victor Tucker had 6 catches, 115 and a touchdown. They only ran for 52 yards rushing, so they got to get that going. And they turned it over 3 times, so they got to drop that. Their defense did have 4 sacks against Florida Atlantic, where Florida International feasted on UMass 44-0. James Morgan, 263, 2 touchdowns. Anthony Jones, 115 and a touchdown rushing. They ran for 278. Tony Gator IV had 7 catches for 103 and a touchdown. Their defense had 3 turnovers, only allowed 115 total yards, and had a punt return touchdown. I expect this to be a pretty close game. Charlotte's pretty decent. I almost want to go Charlotte here, but I'll go Florida International in a close game there. So, all right, so come back and watch for my primetime games. A lot of awesome primetime ones. USC, Notre Dame, Penn State, Iowa, Louisville, Wake Forest. Obviously, Gator fans, Gator LSU, Hawaii, Boise State. That should be an awesome game. Late night Mountain West game coming at you more. Check out those. Peace.